We now move on to a very special session dedicated to remembering late Professor R.A. Rajadaksha, whose scientific brilliance and vision transformed catalysis research at ICT. Professor Rajadaksha's pioneering work on zeolite-based catalysis, superacid catalyst, and hydrogenation mechanisms laid the foundation for several industrial and academic advancements. His research seamlessly bridged theoretical understanding and industrial application, a hallmark of his excellence as a scientist and as an engineer. Beyond academics, Professor Rajadaksha was a beloved teacher, a mentor to many, and an ardent lover of classical music and cricket. Today, as we commemorate his 75th birth anniversary, we remember not just a scholar but a compassionate human being whose inspirational figure and a magnetic personality was a catalyst to whom he met. We now invite colleagues and students, associates of Professor Rajadaksha to share their reflection and memories. I will now like to request Dr. M.G. Palekar to speak a few words.
So, good morning everyone. I think so Professor Sharma and Professor Joshi has already talked quite a few interesting anecdotes about our beloved Professor Rajadaksha. I am just going to touch on some of the personal views about him as our guide, and some of my colleagues are also going to speak about it. So, just paying a tribute to our Guru, Professor Rajadaksha. My tryst with Rajadaksha started in July 1981 when Professor Sharma suggested that I should consider him as guide for my master research. Professor Rajadaksha had just joined UDCT after completing a couple of postdoctoral assignments in Scotland and Australia in catalysis field. Which was then a new area of research at UDCT, because around that time there was nobody in UDCT who was doing work in any catalysis area. When I met him to discuss my topic for research, he proposed that I should work in the area of sorption and reaction on zeolites. For me, I was not even aware what zeolites are at that time, and it was a new field which was coming up in the area as a petrochemical catalyst and for various reactions which subsequently became commercial, which were commercially used by the industry. I was quite impressed by his way of interacting and communication on the subject. After our meeting, as per his guidelines, I searched and read few articles on zeolites, where adsorption, reaction, desorption all happen in the pores of with a molecular dimension. We discussed and agreed that I will work on modeling and adsorption reactions on zeolites. I had envisaged that I would be doing experimental work combined with some mathematical modeling. However, he suggested that I work purely on mathematical modeling only and try to explain the results obtained till date by other researchers, which was quite a humongous task for me at that time. Discussion on the results with RAR was always a learning curve. He never instructed what must be done, and the way forward was always decided based on our discussion and mutual agreement. In a true sense, he acted like a guide, which helped me to develop my analytical and research abilities. Professor Rajadaksha was a sportsman, as other colleagues have said, and he enjoyed playing cricket. I understand he played club cricket when he was in Scotland. Normally on Saturday after lunch, some of us, his students, would play cricket, including myself. We would play cricket near the auditorium. He was aware of this and would never disturb us on Saturday for our research work. On one occasion, as he was going back to his office after a visit to the canteen, he briefly stopped, looked at us and requested a couple of us to meet him after our match is over. So much for his love for cricket. So he never disturbed us on Saturdays for any discussion on research. After my PhD, I moved to Ghent University, Belgium, to work in laboratory for petrochemical research. Professor Rajadeksha at that time had moved to University of Stuttgart in Germany under Humboldt Fellowship. Professor Froma, with whom I was working, invited him to Ghent, and he came over with his family. During his stay, he delivered a couple of lectures on the work he and his group had done in catalysis field, which was well received. He had fruitful interactions with the lab researchers, many of whom were working on the reactions and deactivation of petrochemical catalysts, including zeolites. Before I returned to India in 1989, I discussed with him about my career options, and he suggested that I should consider an opportunity in academics if possible. So after my return, I discussed with Professor Sharma and joined UDCT under Mariwala Fellowship. Based on suggestions by Professor Sharma and discussion with Professor Rajadeksha, I worked on reactions of chlorobenzene with methanol to anisole, results of which were published in a reputed journal. And interestingly, this work was subsequently picked up by Rhodia, which is Solvay, and converted it into commercial success story. Interestingly, when this process was implemented in Rhodia in 1997, I was working with Rhodia in their Indian office. In 1989, I joined Hindustan Lever, which is now Unilever India, and in their R&D. Hindustan Lever was setting up a plant in Haldia to manufacture zeolites for various applications. I worked on developing and commercializing some of the zeolites at their Haldia plant. I used to interact regularly with Professor Rajadeksha to discuss the issues and challenges of commercializing the material zeolites at a plant level. After Professor Rajadeksha's demise in October 1990, I lost a guide and support whom I could discuss the development in catalyst area, including zeolites. I completed projects at hand in Hindustan Lever and decided to quit catalyst field in 1991. I moved into a different area subsequently. Looking back, I feel if Rajadeksha was around, I may have stayed in catalysis field for longer time. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your memories with us. I would request Dr. Gopal Joshi to present a bouquet to Professor G.D. Yadav. I would like to request Dr. Dilip Chaudhary to speak a few words.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good morning, everybody. I am Dilip Chaudhary, and with due respect to the dignitaries present here, respected Professor Sharma, respected Professor J.B. Doshi, Professor Aniruddha Pandit, respected Professor Yadav, Mrs. Rajadeksha, Sachin, and Dr. Tai, Professor Rajadeksha's sister. I would like to say some words about my association with Professor Rajadeksha. I consider myself to be privileged to be amongst his first lot of PhD students. I did my PhD in chemistry under Professor Rajadeksha, and I had excellent memories of association with him. Professor Rajadeksha was exceptionally brilliant as a researcher. He had a good grasp of topic, and above that, he had a best ability of explaining difficult topics in the most simplified manner, even to lay people like me. So we owe a lot up to him. And as a researcher, he was always receptive to ideas, and he always encouraged students to come out with newer ideas and thoughts, and he used to have them brainstorm and develop into new research projects. One such example is solid superacid sulfated zirconia. The thought came from my side, and Professor Rajadiksha has perfected it to the topmost levels, and it is being used all over the world now, and lot of researchers are still working on that. Then as a consultant, I will tell you two of the important contributions Professor Rajadiksha has made. As mentioned by Professor M.M. Sharma sir, he helped HOC, Hindustan Organic Chemicals, in improving their aniline catalyst, which helped them to improve their results dramatically. And it was unheard of in those days how a single academician can help a public sector unit. Later on, during my days with Hardelia Chemicals, under Professor Rajadiksha, we were developing an innovative process of converting phenol into diphenol oxide through high temperature vapor phase process. We had a lot of problems relating to heat of reactions, and again at that time, all the chemical engineers in our team, all of them were from UDCT and IITs, but they have given up on the heat of reaction issue. Then Professor Sharma suggested us to take advice of Professor Rajadiksha, and believe me, during the first visit of Professor Rajadiksha, in fraction of minutes, he solved that problem, and that helped our team in developing that diphenol oxide process successfully on commercial levels. Then on personal note, I owe him a lot. I am highly indebted to his teachings and guidance to me throughout my life, and I owe all my achievements to him. And today on his 75th birthday, I pay homage to his memory and legacy. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now I request Dr. Mayuk Varvadkar to speak a few words.
The 3 minutes that I was given, I think is going to be not enough. But I'll try to finish it within that time. So, welcome dignitaries, speakers, attendees for this symposium, which is here to celebrate the life of Professor Rajadiksha, whom we all revered as our hero. My association with him started sometime in 1981 after my MSc results. I was looking for PhD options, and then a family friend requested me or suggested me I seek advice of Professor Sharma. I went into his room, and within seconds he said, "Meet Professor Rajadiksha." Down I went through the corridor where his cabin was. I peeped through the spring doors, which are still famous here, existing, and I saw a young lad poring over his notes like a student preparing for his examinations. Apparently, he was getting ready for a lecture for the undergraduate students. Immediately in my heart, I knew he will be my guide, provided he has me as one. And then, like they say, the rest was history. I worked on several topics which were very new in those days. One of them was catalysis by zeolites, aromatic reactions. Very few articles had been published then. The kind of work we did was very different from what was happening during those days in the department. Fortunately, I had a few papers coming from that. A man of great moral character and integrity. I want to narrate one incident which will highlight what has been the hallmark of Professor Rajadeksha. Some time back, I had a letter written by a very reputed scientist. I had a copy of it, written by a very reputed scientist, asking Rajadeksha to submit a profile for nominating him for a very coveted national award. Rajadeksha modestly and very sincerely wrote back to him, and I read what he said. Please wait for a few years, by which time I will be ready for the award and make you proud of nominating me. Unfortunately, that incident never took fruition because of fate. His work ethics and professional pride is what we have all imbibed as students. And I say this we practice daily in our not only professional but our personal lives. After I finished my PhD, I was dabbling with a lot of professional activities, and I took up a job in a pharma company. Around that time, my career was not going too well. Coincidentally, it was at that time that Professor Rajadeksha got a grant from the Indo-French Center for Promotion of Advanced Research, and he called me and suggested that I take up this postdoc in École de Chimie Montpellier to be part of that project. My first reaction was, oh my God. But apparently he had more faith in me than I. It was in 1990, September, August, that he visited France, several research institutes, making my small studio apartment as a base camp. After every meeting that he had, he would come home and he would expound on his meetings and hold forth his discussions and plans for future. It was really amazing to see a man with so much motivation and thoughts for the future of chemistry and catalysis. It was also during those days that he taught me how to cook. And during those times of cooking, he would narrate his happy moments as a postdoc in England and Australia. It was one of the best moments of my life. I cherish them all my life. On hindsight, I would say that whatever I am today is not only because of his encouragement. I also feel sometimes he is looking over all of us and helping us carry forward our tasks in both professional and personal life. I owe all mine to him. Thank you very much, Rajadeksha. I owe you everything.
Thank you, sir. I will now like to request Dr. Gopal Joshi to speak a few words.
Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Gurur Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So whatever I am today is because of my great Guru, Professor Rajadeksha. So my Gurus on the dais, off the dais, MMS is there, JBJ is there. So my regards to all of them. About Rajadeksha, my colleagues, they have already talked a few things. I am not going to take much time. I am going to only narrate maybe one or two incidences. He was a man of principle. One fine morning, suddenly arrived from airport with lot of luggage. So me and Dilip Chaudhary, we offered, sir, we will lift and we will help you. He said, no, sorry friends, I will carry my own luggage. So he was not ready to take our help. So that is the first lesson which we learn from him. There are, then previous speaker, they said, MMS also talked about glucose to levulinic acid. In fact, I worked on that project, glucose to levulinic acid. So there was a challenging analysis of glucose, levulinic acid, 5-hydroxymethyl-furfural. We developed a method that is basically TLC, separation on TLC followed by quantification by FID. It was his encouragement, because of his effort, this was the first machine that is TLC FID, which we have purchased and we have successfully used that. So that is something. Similarly, GC, somebody mentioned FTIR. But before that, actually during those days, GC also was a big thing. So we procured first GC and it was because of ARIA's efforts. I remember that Perkin Elmar GC from Lab India, then Bhalerao and other guys from Lab India, they came to meet him. All of us were there in ARIA's cabin. They asked, what do you want? So Rajadhyaksha immediately told him, both of them, these are my research students and whatever this machine should work and it should support. So absolutely no corruption. Such a straightforward, dedicated person I have not seen. Now my personal things. I know because we all know he was having health problem. After two publications, he told me, now you start writing thesis. Before that, colloquium is there. So during those days, it was overhead projector, handwritten transparencies, plastic, all those things were there. Suddenly, he had a health problem and he said, Joshi, I won't be able to present. But don't worry, our work will speak. So he has given me courage and confidence. I still remember my colloquium went on more than 2 hours and MMS asked maximum question, if you remember. And I hope I have answered, I don't recollect that. Second is the thesis, because during those days, handwritten thesis, then correction, so many things were there. He had undergone bypass and he was advised bed rest. Then he was to go to France, but he promised, before I leave for France, your viva will be over. I was literally worried and he was having such a thing. So what he suggested, I remember sister is there, she is doctor. So they decided to take him to Ambernath, right, as a sister's place. So he said, I will not get up from the bed, I will lie down. You come to my sister's place, you read, immediately I will correct, you again rewrite. Then during those days, then rough typist will come, he will type, then rough, fair, all those things were there. I have not seen such a person. He has gone out of the way to do all such things. So that is how I have done my PhD thesis writing. And really great person, and sister also, Tai also supported during those days. In 8 or 10 sittings, finally, bulk of the part was completed. My brother was also here in UDCT. He said, rest of the thing, let him correct. So that is how my thesis writing I could complete. One more incident, like Mayuk mentioned, he was a man, such a great person. Once, he got a request from the university, suggest the name of the referees. He called me and he said, Joshi, I am not going to make any suggestion. But again, they got a letter because there were very few scientists working in that area and university really wanted to know. So finally, he suggested few names, but he had not recommended anything. No recommendation. He said, our work should speak and I am not going to recommend any referee's name. So such a great person, whatever I am today, he has shaped my life. It is because of him and other gurus. So thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. In the absence of Dr. Umesh Shetkar, I would like to request Dr. Mayuk Varaurdekar to kindly read the letter on his behalf.
So my colleague and friend Dr. Umesh Shetkar is not around. He requested I read out the message which speaks of his sentiments for Professor Rajadiksha. It almost feels like a newsreader, but I'll do it. I am Dr. Umesh Shetkar, Professor Rajadiksha student, 1990. In my 33 years of work experience at Aarti Industries, Benzochem Industries, Dharamsi Moraji Chemical Company, I performed leadership roles as General Manager, CEO and President. Today I bow down to commemorate Professor Rajadiksha's 75th birthday. I express my gratitude towards him as a guru of my life. Although he is not around with us anymore, my heart, my spirit still feels his presence, guiding me through my life. Today I wish to speak with his divine soul, rest in heaven. Dear sir, you are more than just a teacher, a friend, a counselor, and a guide. I will never forget your sympathetic approach and inspirational words in my difficult times. You taught us to be robust, ambitious, and above all, taught us to stay grounded, under, and humble. We never feared failure because you motivated us to achieve success. Your work has always been a thoughtful and valuable invention which contributed to our nation's economic growth. I still remember after your surgery, you used to call me at your home for technical discussions despite your post-operative care and rest suggested. I am truly grateful to the financial assistantship you arranged for me through an industrial project which was of great help to me in those days. When you were in Germany for a year on a fellowship of the Humboldt Foundation, you still managed to keep in touch with your mentees despite the distance between us. In the 80s, when the digitalization didn't exist, I used to post my work papers to you via airmail. Your prompt reply and suggestions helped me to submit my synopsis on time. I cherish all the sweet memories spent with your family together. I remember the lovely dinner at your house where you invited all your students with their spouses. I think the credit goes more to Mrs. Rajadiksha for that. There are limitless warm memories I would express, but unfortunately the time is limited. It is unfortunate that your life journey may have ended early, but your legacy as an incredible educator will forever live in my heart. And to end, Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would like to request display the message from Dr. Rajendra Shinde. I would like to request Dr. Pramod Kumbar to say a few words.
Good afternoon. It has been an emotional journey for me for last 35 years. I will not speak much.
Thank you, sir. I would like to request Dr. Manoj Kharkar to say a few words.
Respected Professor Sharma, Professor J.B. Joshi, Professor Pandit, Professor Yadav, Madam Rajadhyaksha, my all dear friends, late Professor Rajadhyaksha students, and my dear students, friends. As I stand here today as a student of late Professor Rajadhyaksha, a lot of memories keep flooding in. Let me briefly introduce myself and convey how Professor Rajadhyaksha's association and guidance has shaped me. I graduated from Lakshmi Narayan Institute of Technology, Nagpur. My first introduction to Professor Rajadhyaksha as a teacher for our master's program. He taught us advanced CRE and industrial catalysis. As a teacher, what stood out was his passion for the subject and his lucidity of teaching, his easy approachability and ability to engage with the students, his infectious enthusiasm and a very positive approach. My interest in catalysis grew as my master's project was in catalytic hydrogenation and he guided me on the project. That time I decided that I would pursue a PhD with him in the area of catalysis. That particular year, he went to Germany on a prestigious Alexander von Humboldt Fellowship. During that year, I took up a job at a place called Multichem Research Center, Baroda. This was a very beautiful research center created and headed by Dr. Sukhdev, a renowned natural product scientist, and this was equipped with state-of-art infrastructure and a very good library. During this time, I was in close correspondence with Sir, and a lot of my initial literature survey I did there. I joined for PhD after Sir returned from Germany and started work in earnest. Those 2 years were the most cherishable and enjoyable period of my educational journey. During that period, some of my major learnings from Sir were primarily his approach to a problem, his ability to go to the root of the problem at a very fundamental level, often transcending the different streams of science, disciplines of science, to develop an understanding of the field, whatever was required. And as Professor Sharma mentioned, he touched upon different streams of chemistry basically to solve the problem. And then ability to correlate the different processes, pieces together to arrive at a comprehensive solution. The area in which I work was bimetallic catalysis and metal support interactions in liquid phase hydrogenations with respective functional group molecules on well-characterized catalysts. The work involved the entire spectrum of preparation of catalysts, characterization, using the most advanced techniques, conducting model reactions, and establishing structure-activity relationships at a fundamental level using quantum chemical calculations. And I think the work, what we did, eventually it got published in one of the best journals actually. And I think getting a publication in the JCS ChemCom at that time was a really nice effort. Probably this training further led to an enriching career in industrial R&D, starting with my first job at Deepak Nitrite, where Deepak was just coming into downstream nitroaromatics hydrogenation, and they had issues with their gas impurities, on which I was able to work and make some good contributions, where I was able to apply my learning during my PhD. This was followed by various MNCs such as ICI, Alchemy Research Center, SIBA, Dow Chemicals, and with Indian majors such as Dr. Reddy's and Reliance over the 3.5 decades. So here I would like to acknowledge here the support by Professor Sharma and to Professor Yadav in being kind enough to accept me and Pramod as his student and helping and supporting us to complete my PhD in those extremely difficult times. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to request Professor Radha Jairam to say a few words.
Good morning, everyone. Before I begin, I would like to thank the organizers of this symposium and to share my fond memories of late Professor Rajadaksha. To utter the word late itself hurts me. I came to Mumbai after marriage with a PhD from IIT Madras. Then naturally I would start looking for a job. At that time, internet was not available, no smartphones. So what I did was I took out the latest issues of the workshops by Catalysis Society of India. And I listed out the names of people who presented papers, who gave plenary lectures. And I took that list to my father-in-law. And he circled Professor Rajadaksha's name. I asked him, do you know him? He said, I don't know him, but I know this is the closest place to our house and there is a direct bus. So that was the criterion that led me to start my career with Professor Rajadaksha. The very next day I met him. He said he had two projects, one DST project and one Indo-French project. And he said that was the last day of application and he himself gave me a paper and pen and I gave the application. And knowing that I won't be having any study material, he gave a letter to the then librarian. I think his name was Limaye. And I accessed the library and within 2 weeks there was an interview. The person presented the interview was Professor MMS. The only question he asked me was, what do you consider as the breakthrough in catalysis in the last 20 years? Without thinking, I told him the application of zeolites in catalysis. Professor Arya asked me, what is the difference between dispersive IR and FTIR? Because at that time he was working on doing a lot of work on adsorption studies. Again, I gave a good reply because Banwell was my favorite textbook. So when I took up the project, the first thing he told me was, I am looking for bimetallic catalysts which would outperform noble metal catalyst, and I would like to look into the theoretical aspects of catalysis. At that time, theoretical catalysis was at an infantile stage in India. Even now, I don't think it has taken great momentum. There were a few scattered papers on BEBO or some cluster calculations. Big institutes like IITs were concentrating on ab initio or X-alpha type work. So Professor Rajadaksha's keen interest was to look into the theoretical aspects of bimetallic catalysis and also metal support interactions. He would, though he was an excellent teacher, he was also an excellent learner. He would go to any distance to learn new things. One day I had gone to Pune to learn theoretical aspects of chemistry. I think I had discussions with Dr. Vetrivel at that time. He came back and we had an immediate discussion. At that time, there was a phone call from BARC, from Dr. N.M. Gupta, that one Dr. Solimosi has come. Dr. Solimosi did a lot of pioneering work in strong metal support interactions, an Hungarian chemist. Without hesitating for a moment, Dr. Rajadaksha headed for BARC. We had to literally run behind him. He was so fast. In fact, that was his strength as well as his weakness. His body couldn't cope up with the speed of his mind. Then he came back. Then he told me that you collect all data on bimetallic catalysis, both in terms of theoretical and experimental aspects. I am going to France. When I come back, we will look into that. Unfortunately, that day never came. And I completed my assignment with Professor G.D. Yadav. Again, my mentor, my well-wisher, I had worked with him on several platforms. And my entire career was at ICT. I owe my life and success to ICT, but all that is because of the gateway to El Dorado, my association with Professor Rajadaksha. I would forever remember him as an excellent teacher. Excellent in the sense, in his class, students would not even write down anything. They would be spellbound. They would be mesmerized. Excellent teacher, compassionate researcher, above all, a very, very good human being. I will carry his fond memories with me till my end. But of course, with a tint of sadness because even he was in a hurry to say goodbye. Thank you all.
Thank you, ma'am. I would now like to request Mr. Nandu Bhagwat to say a few words.
Our Guru, Professor M.M. Sharma, other dignitaries in the audience, Rupavaini, Nandutai, Sachin, other friends and students of late Raju Rajadhyaksha, ladies and gentlemen. I am speaking on behalf of all friends and classmates of Raja like me, Anand Apte, Vishwas Mundle, Shri Tilak and others. In July 1968, I met Raju Rajadhyaksha at UDCT and we became in 1972 together. We all friends used to call him Raja. He was my go-to person in case of difficulty in studies, and also after graduation, he remained my go-to person to solve difficulties in my entrepreneur career. He possessed insight into every subject and was able to explain abstract or complicated theory into simple, practical manner. He was brilliant and was extremely focused. He had decided from his school, college days to join chemical engineering and do research in catalysis. This resulted in his record 79% became in 1972, which remained unsurpassed for many years. Second ranker, I make a correction to JBJ. Second ranker was 26 marks or 22% behind him. He used to advocate not keeping option in studies. He told all of us have come in UDCT on merit and everybody has capability to study every subject completely. Don't keep any option. I followed his no option strategy, have not regretted. In fact, it helped a lot in my professional career also. Raja had total clarity on future plans after graduation. He had mastery in physical chemistry, thermodynamics, and catalysis. He was committed to fundamental research. He told me he will not accept any consultancy unless it involves catalytic problem. If I remember right, one of his students started a factory on their combined research, and that unit was financed under venture capital, which was probably first venture capital funding in India. Raja was handsome, great sportsman, was sergeant of his NCC platoon in school days. He enjoyed cricket, loved music, was capable tabla player. He used to accompany us in our trekking in Sahyadris. After our final year exam, we had a gala gathering at our classmate Shri Tilak's house in Shivaji Park. Shri Tilak is an accomplished violin player. We all enjoyed and still remember a memorable Jugalbandi of Raja's tabla and Shri's violin. After he became faculty at UDCT and came to stay at UDCT staff quarters, he used to arrange get-together at his house whenever a friend came abroad otherwise. We all still remember Mrs. Rupa Rajadhyaksha's hospitality for all those occasions. Our family bond continued until the end and even today. We all miss Raja.
Thank you, sir. I would now like to request Dr. R.V. Chaudhary to say a few words.
Good morning. Distinguished professors, Professor M.M. Sharma, who is also our guru at NCL, and Professor Joshi, Professor Yadav, Professor Pandit, distinguished guests, participants, students and families. So it's a great opportunity for me to be here on this occasion because I had a very high degree of respect for Rajiv, not only as a scientist, teacher, but also a personal friend. So today we are here to pay our tribute to his memories about his contributions in various areas of science and engineering. And we have already heard many stories about his excellence, him as an excellent teacher, and so on. So I know very little about him as a teacher, but I can talk something about his research capabilities and what I came across with. So I first met Raja, at NCL we used to still call him Raju. So for UDCT is Raja, but for NCL he was Raju. So I first met him in 1975. I had to struggle yesterday to going 50 years back to find out when I met him. So I came back from Scotland, completing my postdoctoral research, and came to NCL. I continued my career in NCL after that. Several steps, I will not go into that. But then I came to know that Raju has joined NCL to do his PhD. So Dr. Doraiswamy, as usual, he will mention to us many things about incoming students and all that. So there was nothing more to learn about Raju, how good he is, because it was already made known that a bright student from UDCT is coming and going to work with Dr. Doraiswamy for his PhD work. So very soon, Raju made great impressions on several members of the team, and he became part of us. So he became a part of our student team at NCL. So talking about his PhD work, he came very well planned. He was very determined on what he wants to work. And at that time, Dr. Doraiswamy obviously was very extensively interested in modeling catalytic reactors, fixed bed reactors, and so on. So Raju chose to work on analysis of fixed bed catalytic reactors with large heat effects. This is a problem which was already known in those days and is a problem probably even existing today, because most of the processes operating in petrochemical and refineries had these fixed bed reactors, and there were always issues with respect to runaway problems, heat effects, and maintaining the catalyst stability and so on. So modeling of these reactors was a very frontier area of research, and Raju correctly chose to work on that. So when he started working on this project, it was not simple. So very soon he acquired extraordinary results, and he became known in the group as a genius, about analysis of complex catalytic systems. So what I would like to mention here particularly about his excellence and capabilities, several groups internationally in chemical engineering schools were working on this kind of problems. And the research on stability and multiplicity of chemical reactors was at the forefront. You can name a school in chemical engineering from US, Europe, everywhere, and there are people, stalwarts working in this area. So competition was very steep in those days. So Raju very quickly came up with the finding on analysis of multi-phase reactors, and he came up with his work, which already is very well known, on parametric sensitivity of fixed bed catalytic reactors. But the key point to mention here is he did this entirely on the strength of analytical approaches and conceptual thinking. Because if you still want to analyze even today the problems of multi-phase catalytic reactors or fixed bed catalytic reactors with heat effect, you need excellent computational facilities. Believe me or not, in 70s, we had no computer in NCL. We had no computer in chemical engineering department. So I think this credit goes to Raju to have the courage to solve problems like that entirely on conceptual thinking. I think that hats off to him. He finished his PhD also in a very record time, as already mentioned by some of the colleagues. And that's a story about his PhD. So he became very popular in the group. We used to interact with many of our problems with him and so on. So I had just returned from Scotland, finishing my postdoc, and we used to talk about what Rajiv wants to do in future. So obviously, with such an excellent contribution and background, one would imagine Rajiv would go to maybe Danla's group or Amundson's group or Froma or somewhere in some eminent group to do his postdoctoral research. So I remember myself talking to him one day, and Raju surprised me by saying, I want to do my postdoctoral research in catalysis, fundamentals of catalysis. So it was most unexpected for me, and that time actually I suggested him that he can consider about going to Edinburgh, which had one of the top schools in catalysis, and he did succeed. He found an opportunity to work in Professor Kembal's group, which was one of the top few catalysis schools at that time, going into basics of surface science and catalysis. And there was no end to looking back from there. He made great impression there too. Subsequently, I believe that he went to Australia to work with Professor J.R. Anderson again to further strengthen his group expertise in catalysis fundamental. So these few postdoctoral stints, very well planned, very ambitiously designed, he became an expert in the fundamentals of catalysis, and that probably were the seeds for his further career in catalysis. So he came to India, back, joined UDCT, we have heard already about that, and then he continues the research on zeolites, sorption in catalysis, and bimetallic catalysts and so on. During 80s, I interacted with him on several issues and several problems. I had also been one of the examiners of one of his PhD thesis. Dr. Carla is here on catalytic hydrogenation and so on. So again, all through, his approach was focus entirely on fundamental understanding, structure-activity relations and so on. So understanding nature of active catalytic spaces. And it was all very, very challenging problems of those days. But I think Raju made a dent in that and became very well known internationally. He is well recognized for his achievements, not only in research but also in teaching. He has won many prestigious awards, Hardelia Awards, Amartya Akam Award. And as we all can imagine, as Professor Sharma said, if he was with us today, he would have earned many more awards. So he is also very well recognized by international awards. He won the Humboldt Fellowship. Then he had one of the first Indo-French collaborative projects that was, he collaborated with Montpellier School, for example. So all in all, he had a very illustrious career of research and teaching also, I must say, though I was not very familiar with that. Then I think we would like to wish that the impact of his research work continues and the legacy is continued here and inspires many more people to come in the near future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Your stories have deeply touched our hearts, and I sincerely thank each one of you for opening up and sharing your memories during this moment of tribute.